Okay, we can get started now.
Okay, I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ed August, board member.
John Dimes, Fire Code.
Anna
Deborah-
Ginhart, Illinois.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Okay, anybody going to testify in the hearing, please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Fine, okay. Deb, you going to read it into the record? Or Anna, you
will.
going to read it into the record?
Okay. Case number 1 is MI-2022-004310, address 1514 South 22nd Street. Please state your name for the record.
hi, this is Xin Yuan Chen, spelled HSINGYUAN. I'm from Sky Design Studio. I'm the architect for this project.
State your name.
The gentleman on the iPhone, can you give us your name?
My name is John Chen, J-O-H-N, last name C-H-N. I'm the owner of the property.
Okay, whoever's going to present the case, go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, this project is located at 1514 South 22nd Street, and this is a 3-unit residential project, multi-family project with 4-story building. We have proposed, as we know, on the 4th floor we need 2 means the egress stair. So we propose the steel stair in the rear, the exterior stair in the back. And you can see the red bubble, that's the plan reviewer's comment. So, so that's why we are here to get the board building standard board members approved. So, sorry. So the site plan. So you can see the rear yard, we propose the exterior steel stair in the back. And then let me show, sorry, my computer is kind of slow right now. Okay. So this is the code analysis sheet, and I'm going to jump to the floor plan. That'll be easier for everyone. Okay. So this is the floor plan. On the left side is the basement, and in the middle is the first floor. So first floor and the basement, that's a 1 unit. And second floor is on the right-hand side here. That's a 2nd unit. And 3rd floor and 4th floor are the same unit. So this is a unit 3. So on the 4th floor, we have the access to the rear egress stair, and the same access is the rear stair will go up to the roof. So in the rear, let me zoom in. So in the rear wall, we have provided the 1 hour ready wall. So you can see right here, the red dash line, that's a 1 hour ready wall. And then we don't have the window in the rear. So normally if we have window, we will provide additional sprinkler arm toward to the window. But in this case, we don't have. So, and so this yes.
Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. And then this is architecture, and then the structure drawing we have showed this the steel stair and with the grading, so the rain and snow can pass through. So So basically, that's it for this presentation.
Are
Okay.
are there windows in the bedroom on the side?
Yeah,
How
we,
clo-
on the
How
side.
close are those to the property line?
Oh, to the property line?
Yeah,
This the bay, you can see the property line is in the green. So this kind of the bay window protrude out.
oh, I'm sorry, oh, so this is a corner property?
Yeah, this is a corner property.
Yeah, okay,
Sorry, I didn't mention that.
no, no.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, so you're gonna, if that stair passes any windows, you're gonna have a sprinkler head over the center line of the window, and you're gonna have a 1 hour rated wall on the exterior wall?
Yes, we do have 1 hour rated wall. And on the stairs side, this wall, we don't have windows. We
Okay,
have, yeah, on the fourth floor, we have egress door here.
Are they solid rated doors?
Yes, they are solid rated door.
Okay,
okay, everybody good with that?
yes.
Yes,
Ed, I'm good with it, okay, good luck, you got your variance.
John?
I have a question. It's a
Go ahead.
really, this is just for my own information. It's a really tall building next to 2-story buildings. Did you need a zoning variance to get it to be 4 stories plus a roof deck?
No, we do it by right.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
Okay, good luck,
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you
you're
all.
welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
We're back on the record.
Okay, I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ed August, board member.
John Dimes, Fire Code.
Thomas Rabikowski, City of Philadelphia License and Inspection.
Anna Genhart, LNI.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Okay, anyone going to be, Tom, if you raise your right hand, you're testifying in this case? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Okay, Deb, or Anna, you want to read it into the record?
Yes. I can find it. Where, sorry, okay. Case number 2, case number MI-2022-003526, address 2354 North Park Avenue.
Okay, Tom, you want to give us a little rundown?
what I have is today's hearing is in response to an appeal filed by I guess, occupant or owner of the property. They filed an appeal stating on their appeal their appeal form that they are asking for an appeal for hospitalization, trouble finding licensed contractor. After my opening, I'll share my screen on why the property was declared as unsafe. The property was declared unsafe following an inspection that took place on April 18th of 2022, where there were unsafe conditions of the front porch and front wall, specifically the lentils over the entryway and other lentils in that front wall were cracked. I'll share my screen and show that there are cracks in those lentils and the front porch. Supporting columns are out of plumb, negating or facilitating a unsafe violation on the property. At the conclusion of today's hearing, I will be asking the board to grant a variance for 45 days for the owner to obtain a make-safe permit for the repair of the property. And if they don't, the department gets further enforcement action. With that said, I'll share my screen. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so this was the appeal paperwork that was filed by the appellant. The appellant signature is Gregory Nichols. His reason for his appeal, hospitalized, trouble finding the licensed contractor. For time sake, I'll go right to this is the notice of violation. You can see the date of the notice, April 19th, 2022. It was sent to the same address, 2354 North Park Avenue, declaring the property as unsafe. It is in response to case number CF Charlie Frank 2022-032147. And I'll go right to the first photograph. In his appellant packet, he does provide doctor's notes in that there were some medical procedures. Again, that's not really in question. The question is whether or not the property is unsafe. And with that, I'll go right to the picture. This is a picture of the front porch. You can see that the support columns are out of plumb. In fact, somebody just installed some makeshift framing to support the roof of the porch. And then I'll go to another photograph of the front of the property. Specifically, this photograph, they were taken on April 18th of 2022 by Inspector Farley, who issued the violations in response to inspecting the property. You can see the front lintel over the front entryway has a crack right in the middle of it. That shows signs that the front wall is in fact deflecting or showing signs of deterioration. With that said, I'll petition the board for a variance for 45 days to get the required make safe permit for the repair of the front wall and porch of this property.
Okay. Fine, I agree with you, Tom, the 45 days to get a make safe permit, and if they don't do that, then the city has to take their appropriate actions, whatever they have to do. Aim, Ted, are you in agreement?
I'm in
Yes.
agreement.
Okay, all right, so, okay, that's it, that's what we'll do, send something out to them, let them know, and then if they don't comply, the city has to do what they have to do. All right.
I'd like
good
Ms.
deal.
Davis to put her name on the record, please, before we
Yes.
close out. Thank you.
Yes, Dejanay Davis on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you.
All right,
We're all good?
okay, we're
Thank
good.
you.
All right, Tom,
Thank
We
you. It was a
done with
pleasure
you?
meeting you all.
You too,
Thanks, Tom.
Dejanay.
no, we got one more, right, Tom?
Yes,
You tell me when
Back
we're
on the
ready.
record now.
Okay, I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member. Ted, you're muted.
I know. Ted Agus, board member.
John Dimes, Fire Code.
Tom Rabikowski, City of Philadelphia, License and Inspections.
Anna Genhart, LNI.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Okay, Tom, you're the only one here, so raise your hand. Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes,
Okay, Annie, you want to run this for the record, put it in, record it for the record?
Sure. So the third case number MI-2022-004420, address 3025 North 11th Street.
Okay. All right, before we start, this is case, nobody showed up on the, for the hearing, and we're going ahead with the hearing because it's a violation, and we ain't playing games when there's problems with buildings that could possibly fall down. So, Tom, you want to give us a little rundown?
what I have is the property in question is 3025 North 11th Street. The property was declared eminently dangerous following an inspection in February of 2022, in which there are conditions with the rear side wall and the rear bay, in which the inspector declared the property eminently dangerous. At that time, the property was posted. At that time, we sent out notices of violation to the owner of record. We since then found out in June that the property had transferred hands in April to a new individual. We sent out notices to that individual, and that's what brings us today, that the new owner filed an appeal for the violation, citing on their appeal, and it's broken on the, but it's very vague, but The reason for the appeal is just buy this property and don't know we have violations on this property. The property was declared eminently dangerous following the inspection in February. It was posted and we sent the notices to them, to the new owner. The new owner has the requirement to make the necessary repairs immediately. I'm going to petition at the conclusion of this hearing, to petition the board to grant a variance for 30 days to get a permit and for the repair of this property. If not, the department would seek further enforcement action. For expeditious reasons, I'm going to share my screen and show you photographs of the property that were taken at the time the property was declared eminently dangerous. So that's the appeal. The notice of violation was sent to the new owner of record, Abel Ortiz Mendeles. It was sent to one of the addresses. That's why it was filed for the appeal. It was sent to 2616 North Hutchinson Street. Again, it references the property at 3025 North 11th Street as eminently dangerous. It is for case number CF Charlie Frank 2022-012288. Again, declaring the property eminently dangerous. It declares the entire site, and it is for the rear wall is fractured and leaning towards the occupied property at 3023 North 11th. There are several trees growing from the rear wall. The rear shed of the property is partially collapsed. And I'll just go through a few photographs that were taken at that time, which illustrate the concerns of the property. Okay, so this is the photograph of the property taken on February 15th of 2022. You can see the front of the property had been posted and marked eminently dangerous. This is another photograph taken of the property again on February 15th of 2022, showing the front posting on what would be the front door of the property. And this is the areas of concern in the rear. You can see that a tree has taken root in the rear side wall of the property up at the roof line. It's forcing the bricks out of the property. There is also another tree that has taken root inside the property. You can see the limbs coming out the second story window. And you can also see that there is another tree root or another tree branch coming out of the side wall of the property. The side wall itself is leaning, and then the rear bay of the property is actually falling off of the property, illustrated by this photograph here. With that said, I'll petition the board that the new owner of record must obtain a permit within 30 days for the repair of this property, or the department could seek line of enforcement.
Okay, this set for the record too. Deb, did we make a call to this individual?
Yes, I called him today about 2:15.
Okay, the hearing was supposed to start at 2:15, and we waited 20 minutes at 2:35, and no one showed up. So with that, we'll take the recommendation of Tom that they have 30 days to get a permit and to start work. And do they need an engineer's report when they're finished, or to get the permit?
The violation does call out for an engineer to survey the property and then provide a report and plans for the repair.
Okay, Aim and Ted, are you in agreement?
I'm in agreement.
Okay,
Amen.
okay, that's it. All right,
Okay, we're back on the record.
okay, I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ted August, board member.
John Dimes, Fire Code.
Anna Genhart, LNI.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Okay, anybody going to testify in the hearing? Please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Okay, good. Deb, you want to, or Anna, you want to put it in for the record?
Sure. This is case number MI-2022-004309. Address is 1040 Montrose Street. Can you please state your names for the record?
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
We heard you earlier.
And
I don't know if the court reporter can hear you. She can't hear you.
Very faintly.
We're not on mute.
Now we can hear you.
We can hear you now.
So now you can state your name so she can
Get
report.
a little closer to the microphone.
Yeah.
Sure. My name is.
Over to the microphone.
Hi, can you hear me now?
There we go. We got it.
Perfect. So my name is Andrea Appel, A-P-P-E-L, and I'm the homeowner.
All right, and
The other
who's
two
with
people,
you?
please, for the record.
I'm Lawrence Gilbert. I'm the architect that drew up the plans. Okay,
Okay,
Chris Brown, I'm the homeowner's husband.
okay, and whoever's going to present the case, go ahead.
Okay. Variances from our two rejection findings from code sections EB 1102.3 and B-903.28. As we put in our application, we have a 3-story masonry building with a proposed 4th floor addition built to UL 349 standards, both internally and externally. Internally, we will use 2 sheets of 5/8 fire resistant sheetrock, and externally 2-hour LP flame block double-sided sheeting. The plans also show hardwired fire alarms throughout the building, which will extend to the addition. The property currently also has a fire detection system monitored by an alarm company who contacts the fire service in any event of activation. In addition, we propose to use FRTW per IBC chapter 2303.2 with a flame spread index less than 25, which is a Class A building material. Therefore, all 4 stories of the property are and will be constructed of non-combustible material and be considered type 3 construction per IBC 602.3 rather than type 5. We also want to point out, of course, the IBC covers all buildings 4 stories and up. And the IRC is for residential buildings, but only up to 3 stories. We wanted to point out that in the city of Philadelphia, a 3-story building can exist up to a maximum of 38 feet without either a zoning or building variance, and that our building will not exceed this height. So there's a overlap for measurements between what would be a tall 3-story and a short 4 stories. Ours will be the equivalent of a short 4-story building, and I can go through the measurements I used to get to that if you want me to. Again, I want to emphasize that our building is, the bottom 3 stories are all masonry. It is very likely that the idea of those specific fire suppression systems that are in the IBC were specifically tailored to wood construction, which a lot of buildings currently in the city of Philadelphia and other cities are, but ours is not. It is all masonry on the 3rd story, up for the first 3 stories. And we would like to point out that our 3rd story already, and of course, where we'd like to put the 4th story, is not in contact with any of our neighbors. On one side, we have an easement, so the house touches nothing. On the other side, we have a 2-story neighbor. Their house is 9 feet wide, so unlikely that they will build up, because I think those dimensions by code don't really let you add bedrooms or anything. I also want to point out that we would, and I put this, I think in the appeal, it's not in the plans, we would be happy to use fire retardant treated wood for the third story, for the fourth story, sorry. So it's Hoover Flame Spread 10, and it has ULV 314 PyroGuard. We have a PDF to show you that actually is technically and under the codes as fire resistant as masonry. So we wanted to propose to do that. We're also hoping to, you know, engage in a discussion with you with any questions. We won't be able to complete the project with needing to put sprinklers throughout the entire existing building to a separate water line in the street. It would mean disrupting too many things in the house that are already existing. If I thought that was the only safe way to do it, I wouldn't be here proposing this, but I think our alternatives in our specific house provide as much fire protection safety as what is specifically written in the code sections. Of course, I want to hear what all of you think, and I want to see if either Larry or Chris want to add anything, if this is the right time for that.
Can I have a clarification first? L&I's paperwork calls this 1040 Montrose, and I'm looking online and it, over the garage door, it says 1038 Montrose, and the drawings say 1038 Montrose, so there's some sort of a clerical error going on.
It's not anything easily fixable. The deed for the house.
Can't hear you.
Weird. The official deed for the house is 1038-40. My understanding is that about 40 years ago, someone took 2 9-foot wide houses and kept much of the outside, but put them together on the inside. I bought this house in November of 2001. Some utilities have it registered as 1040, some have it registered as 1038. I have always used 1038 as my mailing address, which is why it says that over the garage. But I do know when I log into certain city systems, I need to use 1040 or sometimes 1038-40. It has been this way for the entire time I've lived here.
Okay, well, we'll just have to make that clear.
Good, is the architect or your husband want to say something?
Well, I do want to say that since they are living in this house and the exterior walls are all masonry, 8 inches of brick and concrete block, it would be extremely disruptive to put a sprinkler system throughout the whole house. You have to rip up a lot of drywall and put a separate, water line in for this. It seems that there must be a way to make a compromise here for that. And the square footage of the 4th floor is actually a little less than half of the floor below. It's not enough to pull a mezzanine, but it's still much smaller than the whole house, each floor of the whole house. That's all I really have to say at this point.
What are you extending the party walls with?
Well, the proposal is at this point is to use 2x6s, but use fire treated lumber throughout, even the floor joists and the roof joists. And
Would you consider just putting a sprinkler system on the 4th floor only, but you'd have to have it as a rated envelope separate from the house?
Well, we don't.
And I'm not sure if that could be a 13D system off the domestic water line.
You mean a 13D?
13D.
Yeah, what did I say? 13D. That's what I meant.
Water line, do you want to talk about a non-wet system?
I was going to say a minute ago, I've got nothing to say. So if we're going to start talking about some sprinkler options, I used to work in the aircraft industry, aircraft hangars, aircraft design and engineering. We used to use a lot of dry chemical canister type sprinkler systems. So there are now, in the last couple of years, come onto the market systems that are rated for residential use to NFPA 17 standards for residential use. One company that actually operates out of Vancouver, Portland, would do this system with 4 canisters on the 4th floor only, and we could have those on a pressure switch, so it would go to a centralized fire alarm panel for notifying local authorities and for triggering at certain points, rather than using the old domestic water supply or a different water supply system.
Also, I want to say that you mentioned that separating the system from the 4th floor from the other floors. They'd rather not do that because they don't want to put doors there. They want to be able to go, you know, up the stairs and into the space, right, without enclosing it totally with a fire rated wall. And a fire rated door also. So that's part of the issue. So we're asking whether you would accept the fire treated lumber, or if not, a dry sprinkler system out of canisters, where we don't have to run water from way up.
I know we're going to want to spring some sort of fire prevention system up there. I mean, you've added a 4th floor, you've added more living space. I don't know if the fire department can comment on the other systems that are being discussed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about NFPA 17 or alternative sprinkler systems. I mean, alternative extinguishing systems in dwelling units. I haven't seen any in the city of Philadelphia, and it's not something, I don't know, I think that can be a slippery slope going down that as an alternative. And not knowing much about it, that would be something maybe the Board of Safety at some point would have to take a look at if we ever wanted to go down that route. The only thing I would comment, and I think was a good presentation, but I don't think the codes or the standards say anything about, well, if you have a different construction type, then you don't need sprinklers, because most of the time, if something's going to happen in a fire, somebody's going to die or get hurt, it's going to be from the smoke in the chair or the bed catching on fire. Though, yes, it's better to have a concrete building because it's going to be more of a contents fire than a building fire. I don't think that's going to save lives anymore by having concrete walls at the first 3 stories. So I don't know if that specific, I don't want to use the word argument, but for lack of a better word, argument negates equal to or better than having a sprinkler system throughout.
We appreciate that clarification for the sprinkler system is to save the human life, not to save human life and the building. So the FRT building would match the mix.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
I'm so sorry for such a bad computer microphone. My bad.
It's okay. Can you
It
start
just
from
makes
the
it a little
beginning?
bit more tricky. So thank you for the clarification on the sprinkler system is there for human protection rather than human and building protection. So if we were to go, so I guess I now have 2 questions. FRTW lumber is more expensive than regular lumber. If I was to build it out of regular lumber with some sort of sprinkler system on the 4th floor only, would you accept that? Or would you require the FRTW and a sprinkler system? That'd be my first question before I see a shake of the head. So.
No, you would have to have rated walls, but you wouldn't need the fire rated wood.
Okay,
You could
so,
rate the walls with drywall.
okay, perfect. Okay, so that answers that. So then, yeah, so for the fire question about the sprinklers and the NFPA 17 versus 13, I completely get the safety side of it, and it would need investigation. Before I even thought I'd bring it to this panel, because I don't like looking stupid at any point in my life, but I do quite often. It's used in like a lot of commercial centers, like the Javits Center, Manhattan. The NYFD have recently said that they certify it as a good alternative use compared to water supply. And I think as we start seeing more in the climate change terms of water becoming more valuable as a resource, we're going to see a switch moving into these systems. So it might be too early to say, yes, let's do this as a one-off to start the Philadelphia research into it. But I just wanted to bring it up into the conversation in case there was that knowledge about it, and it might be something we could start investigating for this property as like a precedent for Philadelphia to start looking with.
So with the 13, go ahead.
I like to say that you had mentioned that if we just sprinkle the fourth floor, you still would want it separated with a fire rated wall and door from all the other floors. Is that correct?
Correct.
So that's another issue. We don't. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to note is a door could be on a hold open device, triggered by an alarm or whatever.
Right.
So, I don't know whether that's still impractical in terms of enclosing,
So it's,
isolating the fourth floor.
it's not. So could that door be on the third story if we encased everything past that door going up to the fourth story and made it the same fire rated two sheets 5/8, et cetera, to make that all fire rated area? So the fire door didn't have to be on the fourth story. It would include the steps and the office.
No.
Can't
I
hear
would
you.
think if it was a full enclosure, yes.
Okay.
Right.
Sprinklers that are just on the fourth floor, if we can add a fire door, those sprinklers can be in our domestic water line, or they still need a separate line?
It would have to be calculated to make sure that it would still work without knowing, the size of the fourth floor and the number of sprinkler heads. I mean, that's something that would have to be confirmed. Does that sound right?
It's a very small addition.
Okay, so it probably would work, yeah.
I think it would come down to pressure.
Well, that would all be in the calculation.
So does that sound like a viable variance that you'd be willing to accept?
Make sure I'm clear. Sprinklers on the fourth floor only.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear
I don't
you.
know why. So you need to
Ah.
start from the beginning. I'm sorry.
I am so sorry. I do not, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. So just to make sure that I'm clear, the variance would require sprinklers on the fourth floor only, a fire rated door that encloses the fourth or third and fourth, the new addition. And the sprinklers could be tied into the domestic water line as long as there was sufficient pressure to make that work. That,
Correct, but you'd also need fire rated walls along the stairs up to that fourth floor.
for the entire enclosed part.
Yes, and the ceiling, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but the ceiling of the third floor would also need a rating.
Of the enclosed part of the third floor.
It would need to be separated in the third floor from the fourth floor with a fire rating.
The entire building or just the new part?
Just. so
Under
you're
the new part,
separating-
under the part you're rating, you have to have a box that is fully rated,
Correct.
including the bottom of the box.
Yeah, presumably you're replacing the roof joists of that are existing with new fourth floor framing. Is that, yeah, so when you do that, you're creating basically 2 layers of 5/8 or whatever it takes, on the ceiling of the third floor. And technically, Anna, is that a variance, or is that, with what they're proposing, would that be approved as of right?
So that section 90328 of the IBC just says an automatic sprinkler system shall be provided throughout all buildings with the group R fire area. And then when you go to the fire area definition, it just says the aggregate floor area enclosed and bounded by firewalls, fire barriers, exterior walls, or horizontal assemblies of a building. So as long as they create the fire area, then they can just have the fourth floor sprinklered by right.
Okay,
So you wouldn't need a variance.
No. Can't hear you.
Someone just approved it? Oh, sorry. So procedurally, what does that mean? That you guys will still issue something approving it with these conditions?
No, you would withdraw this application and then Larry Gilbert would just redocument it to show that the 13D system up on that fire rated fourth floor.
And I get nothing from you guys?
You don't need anything.
You
You don't
don't
need
need
anything
variance.
from us.
I'm just afraid that then I go back to the building examiner and we turn in the plans as we talked about today, and their interpretation doesn't agree with yours. No?
I don't think that would, well, I can agree with you that you might think that would happen, but you know what I mean? But the thing is that we have people here that you could get in touch with to let the plan examiner know that.
Anna, do you see any mechanism to make sure?
Can you just put something?
As long as they rate, as long as they create a fire area, and like I said, the definition is on
Mhm.
there, on the building code with exterior walls and like you said, everything else but a fire area, then they would be okay to just sprinkler the fourth floor. The only thing that I'm not too sure is, I don't know if 13D would be acceptable on a fourth floor, because 13D goes up to 3 stories. So I'm not sure.
True.
So that puts us back in this loop again then. Oh, so yeah, so that puts us back in this loop. So with that fire area, when I read the IBC and the IRC, I was like, if we extend our current fire area, we can stay within a masonry build. So the fourth floor of the fire sprinklers, thank you for explaining that. I understand why we just would go through the permitting process again. But rather than having to come back to this board in probably another 4 months, once we go through the rejection cycle, can we get a variance up front for that fourth floor 13D issue that we fell into with being told? Because we thought it might have been 13D, and then when we were told it's 13E or 13R, whichever one it was for the extra, thank you, sir, for the extra water main, our hearts just sank. And we thought we'd like covered all of this and all the pre-conversations being like conscientious, and we then hit this hurdle. So can we do the variance up front if we had fire doors, 5.8 on third floor, 5.8, etc.?
Yeah, I think the only thing would be that it would still need to meet the calculated, the sprinkler contractor would need to calculate it and make sure that it works. To your point earlier, the fact is, I mean, a 3-story building of that height, which would comply because it's 3 stories, it seems to make sense that if the only space that's being served is that 4th floor and it's within the 38-foot, maximum height, that it would
But we
probably
still have to give a variance for the 13D.
Yes, but yes.
Do we want to caucus over that?
Yes, we'll caucus. Okay, Deb, could you put them in the waiting room,
Okay,
please?
okay, wait a minute.
Okey
Okay,
dokey.
we're back on the record.
Okay, we made the decision that you will be able to use a 13D system if the hydraulic calculations work from the sprinkler contractor. If they don't work, then you're gonna have to come back or whatever. But I need the walls and the floor from the 4th floor down to the door on the 3rd floor. We need the enclosure and the rating with the two pieces of sheetrock, 5/8 of an inch sheetrock as an enclosure.
Okay,
Right, 2 hour enclosure.
Okay,
2 hour, right.
2-hour rating. Yeah. And but we got to make sure that the hydraulic calculations for them small numbers of sprinkler heads up there work. And if they work, we're granting you variance. And when you do go to a sprinkler contractor, you'll get a letter from us saying we're granting the variance. You show that to them, because a sprinkler contractor is not going to do that because it's 4 floors. So when you have that variance, you show them, and then they'll do it. Okay? Can't hear
Okay, thank you very much. So we get something from you first, and then we take it to the sprinkler company.
you. Correct.
Perfect.
And I have to see the drawings that show the fire enclosure.
I can hear that.
I have to revise the drawings to show the fire enclosure around the whole 3rd floor and the entrance to it. Okay, not a
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
But in the
Okay.
meantime, your letter, Debbie, would you say within 2 weeks or so?
2 weeks. I have to send it to the commissioner for his approval first before I can issue it to the homeowners. I have to get his okay, and then it goes to the plans examiner, and then I'll send a copy to the homeowners. So sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 3, depending on what the commissioner's schedule is. I don't always know, or if he's on vacation, so, you know.
It's been a rough couple of years. Take 3 weeks. Thank you
I love her.
All right, no
very
problem.
much.
Good luck.
All right, thanks again. Bye-bye.
Very articulate.
Yes.
You know, she was
Second,
just the right